Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sovryn Community Call episode number 46. This is Magnus, social lead with Sovryn, the place to be for your Bitcoin DeFi needs. As you know, we've recently changed our community calls to once a month to place an emphasis on quality, not quantity. We've got some great topics to dive into, including about Zero, the marketing, much more. So thank you so much for joining us here, and thank you for sharing this mission. The guidelines are, guys, if you like to speak, that's fine. Just toggle the mute button while other people are speaking, and be patient, we'll get to you. Also note that we do take questions in between the updates. Feel free to post any questions in the general channel in our Discord or on YouTube. Okay, so let's get going.
Thanks, Magnus. So on the product update side, the big update since the last call is that the Zero app now has support for connecting directly using either a Ledger or Trezor hardware wallet. Many thanks to Rick, Victor, Solbit, Alita, Satoshi Badger, and Julio for the dedicated work getting the hardware wallet integration developed and tested. After the feature went live, we did find a bug that was initially causing some problems with the Trezor integration, but we were able to quickly get that fixed. So now everything works as expected. Thanks to Victor for the quick fix there, and thanks Tony42 and Javen from the Discord chat for reporting the issue and helping to text, as well as through a survey that we sent out to everyone who has been invited to use Zero. We're reading all of the feedback, we're taking all of it into account. And we're also using on-chain data, actually looking on-chain and seeing what are people actually using Zero for. And this is helping us narrow down what use case we want to focus on, design for when we are building this new Zero web app. So we want to, while the current Zero app is very general, it's like, here are some interfaces that you can use to take out a loan, use the stability pool, kind of very general usage of the protocol. We want to build a really focused product that gets people directly to the kind of value that they want to get from the protocol. And so all of this feedback, the on-chain data, it's all helping us to get to that focus. It's very early days in terms of where we're at, the development progress there, but we are progressing, and you can expect to be getting previews on future community calls, as well as invitations to one-on-one or small group user testing, so that we can make sure that we're building the best product possible for Zero, because we know that there's so much potential there, and we want to take full advantage of that. Switching gears a little bit to talk about what's going on in the world of Bitocracy. After taking this brief detour to focus on other projects, including the Zero release, we've now picked up working on the Bitocracy 3.0 implementation. We've been talking about this for a while, basically laying the groundwork to get ready to transfer smart contract governance from the Exchequer multisig. The Exchequer multisig doesn't govern all of the smart contracts, but they do govern some of the smart contracts. And so we want to transfer that smart contract governance from the multisig to Bitocracy, so that SOV stakers will have control of the system, and that will kind of maximally decentralize governance of the Sovryn protocol. This has been a long time coming, and I'm really excited about the progress that we're making there. So we've almost finished the development work that's needed to actually implement this change at a smart contract level. And we're also now in the process of creating the new Guardian multisigs, which are going to be based on the Gnosis Safe multisig standard. We'll be sharing more information about the timing of the votes on SIP 46 and SIP 47, which are the SIPs that actually implement these changes. Once we are closer to actually completing these projects, and we can confidently set a date for the votes. But the most important update here is that we have picked up work again on this project. We're making progress, and we definitely expect to have that done sometime in the next quarter. And those are all the updates that I had to cover today. So back to you, Magnus.
All right, folks. So we're moving on to Wayne here. If you have like to unmute yourself.
Thanks, mate. Nice to see everybody. I just thought as we're doing this on a monthly basis, I'll just go through a couple of slides and some stats from marketing. Nice to show the results of some of the team's hard work and some of the projects we're working through. So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you guys all see that? I'll turn it into a slideshow. But everybody can see that all right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. We do this on a monthly basis now. I think it's important to show some tangible results to the community and just to update everybody on kind of key deliverables, big projects we're working on, what's coming up on the horizon. There's some exciting stuff going on. So stoked to be sharing. I'll fire through this reasonably quickly. I've got a tendency to get carried away. So headline stats for August, we're seeing an 11% month-on-month increase in users to the site. We're seeing throughout the year since we've started tracking analytics about a 15% month-on-month increase average of users to the site. I'll delve into that in a touch. Total site traffic has increased by close to 100%, 83% in 4 months. An additional 4,000 users to the site a month. Interesting stat, nearly 90% of this traffic is new users. As Light said, Xero's kicking ass, over 4 million TVL on Xero. We're getting some nice engagement levels on Perpetual's content. Top 3 product pages on the DAP in August. Spot, Xero, and Swap, with Perpetual's having a very high level of engagement as well. Engagement levels across those key projects, products, features are increasing as traffic increases to the site and the DAP. From a social perspective, we're seeing, which I'll share with you in a second, month-on-month improvements in engagement metrics. We're getting some key learnings from channels that we're testing activity on. One that's popped out to us is LinkedIn. It's looking like a very solid channel for Xero promotion with about 20 to 25% conversion, which is massive for marketing activity, considering some of our other channels are about 3%. So we've obviously tapped into a crypto audience. An audience is getting dissatisfied with kind of centralized financial institutions. That Xero message is just appealing across the board. But for some reason, especially with the LinkedIn audience, we're also trialing paid channels where possible and building a foundation of insights for our kind of media and channel planning going forward. And the site content engagement that has the deepest engagement, 75% scroll depth, is heavily weighted towards Xero, Perps, tokenomics. This is a good news story, as Iago was saying. In this bear market, where I think it's probably a fair assumption to say a lot of protocols are getting a diminishing amount of attention, diminishing amount of traffic, the trend is the opposite direction for us. So in August, 11% growth in unique users to the site. Since we've put analytics on the website, which was in March, averaging a 15% month-on-month growth of site traffic and total users. Big portion of that, 90%, is new users, which is a good news story as well. We're getting reach with a broader achievable market, and they're clicking through, they're coming to the site. There's more sessions, there's more content engagement. And in that 4 or 5 month period since we started tracking, this is a really good news story because we're focusing everything on organic activity in the current market. So no paid marketing activity currently. And from organic perspective, organic content, focus on SEO, focus on tapping into influencer conversations on social, using our social media channels and our brand more effectively. We've nearly doubled site traffic on a monthly basis with an additional 4,000 users to the site in a 4 or 5 month period. So really good news story there, I think, in terms of our organic activity, how it's resonating in the market, and how interested people are in the Sovryn brand. There's a lot more eyes on the project currently. What I mean by that, this is an example in the last month of Twitter accounts that have been either mentioning Sovryn, retweeting Sovryn, liking Sovryn, engaging in conversation, engaging with our organic content. And there's some big counts here: 190,000 followers, 70,000 followers, 40,000 followers. So, considering that a couple months ago we were seeing very few of these big counts engaging with our content, we're really starting to get some traction, I think, with the right influencers, the right channels, getting involved in the right conversations. The content engagement and organic reach on Twitter is increasing as well. So not only are we getting involved in a broader range of conversations, getting more reach for our marketing message, but the content we are producing, I think, with a focus on high quality content, on the big product launches we've had recently, on a better articulated brand, both visually and through content. Organically, we're getting some really high engagement levels. Yago's Zero video, 10,000 views without $1 behind it. Repurposed Yago's KYC video, 100,000 views organically. The Zero promotional video, 6,000 views organically. Community members' views, topping up into the thousands. And this is all without any paid spend. So the brand is getting some real organic traction across social and in the market. Our Twitter account in August, our tweet impressions went up by 40%. Profile visits up by 20%. Mentions of Sovryn in August, organic mentions of Sovryn in August up by 100%. Great stat. And our channels are growing. That's obviously often a very hard game to play, is to proactively grow the followers and the base on these channels on a month-on-month basis. So we're getting more reach, we're getting more engagement, we're getting more click-throughs. The brand is resonating, and I think the social media team and the content guys are doing a great job of achieving these kind of numbers in a purely organic environment and doing it on a month-by-month basis. It's not an easy task, so well done, guys. Also, we're using Twitter Spaces to reach a wider audience. We're doing this quite effectively, I think. We're getting some big influencers, Harrington, Dan Held, The Graph, and this is all organic, unpaid conversations, which makes it so much more valuable in my mind, and just highlights that we're sharing more content against the right audiences in more crypto and DeFi channels, and spreading that brand message in a way that is resonating, that is working. Light touched on Zero, so don't need to linger there. The product, the feature is really, I think, resonating in market against quite a broad audience. Over 4 million in TVL now. We're onboarding 200 people a day from the waitlist. We will continue to push that hard as a feature product. Website and rebrand project. We have light at the end of the tunnel now. We have development sprints underway with Pattern, who are our agency. Currently, they are in Sprint 2, nearly finished development Sprint 2. This is coding and building out all of the pages into the CMS. One more sprint left, with a CMS available to us in approximately 2.5 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time. We've done all the content, we've done all the designs, we're working on the videos. Huge piece of work. But we now have an estimated launch date. I'm hoping it can be the closer end of that, end of the month, beginning of October. And we're planning the launch of the new Sovryn brand and the site. How do we really get this new look and feel out into the market and to the forefront of the conversation? And at the next community call, or earlier if we need to, if we can achieve an earlier launch date, but I'd say at the next community call, we'll do an exclusive reveal of the full website and the new brand for Sovryn community members. I'm looking forward to that. We can go through how interactive the site is, go through some of the key features, look at the full rebrand of the Sovryn ecosystem that we're undertaking now. And some other things coming up from a marketing perspective. We're doing some very solid events planning, events we're going to attend by ourselves or in conjunction with RSK. We're negotiating opportunities for the rest of the year: Cape Town, Singapore, Bitcoin, Amsterdam, Buenos Aires, London, El Salvador. A few of these are closer to being locked in than others, but I think an amazing opportunity for Sovryn branding business development, and hopefully speaking slots in every one of these agendas. Something like Token 2049 in Singapore, there's some big names there. Founder of Cardano, Tezos, all these events have got some very solid speakers and big audiences. And if we can get Yago and some other key contributors in front of these.
Yeah, I would just say some of these speakers are solid in terms of their reach, not necessarily in terms of, our definition of solid.
You'll have to show them how it's done. And we've got some co-marketing partnerships underway. RSK is giving us a portion of money to push Zero in September. We've just signed off a co-marketing agreement with the Graph, where they're going to promote Sovryn to their base. We're in talks with B&B, and we're moving forward with a co-marketing partnership with Hacken.io, who did our security audits for Perps. And more discussions are ongoing to broaden our partner network and use these partner networks to increase brand reach against the right audience. So a quick overview, but just to share with everybody, I think some pretty good news in terms of how the brand is performing in the current market and some of the traction we're getting organically across our marketing channels.
Great stuff. All right, cheers, Wayne. Aurora, did you want to present yourself?
Yeah, of course. All right. So since the last time we spoke, we had a few updates on the DApp. Firstly, we increased the fast BTC upfront limits from 0.1 BTC to 3 BTC. So this is a huge increase and significantly improves the usability of fast BTC, especially the off-ramp, of course, because on the on-ramp we already had the same limit. This also makes it easier to perform different actions on our system, like arbitraging, for example. Then we updated the margin trading functionality to save gas fees, and that had an effect of approximately 30% savings on margin trades. So the average gas costs went down from approximately 1.85 million to 1.3 million gas per margin trade. So this is a significant improvement. We also improved and updated our token bridge federators, which is not really visible to the users, but is an improvement here on the backend side, and was also a necessary requirement for the off-chain signature exchange update, which we are planning for the bridge. We did finish the first version of the Zero SDK. So now we're just looking into automated publishing using packages, just to have our own processes being more performant. And on the front-end side, we had a couple of updates to the Zero Early Access. So now we have hardware wallet integration, which was a pain point for many users. So originally we had thought we only do it with a new DApp and leave the existing one as it is, but because we got so much feedback from users that they really want to use the hardware wallets, we decided to still add it to the DApp, so it's available now. We also added analytics for better data insights, which helps to improve our products, and multiple bug fixes and small improvements. Then we removed SOB rewards from the yield farming pools ETH and Mint, and improved the leaderboards for the Perps UI. So that's everything, or the most important things which happened since the last call. And now we're looking forward to more graph updates. So that includes trading chart and other history tables around the DApp, as well as technical usage documentation for utilizing the Sovryn subgraphs. On the DApp, we are going to introduce a fix for the wallet connection problems and updating the texts. And then we are just finishing up the staking contract update. So we're going to have a SIP, which is updating a staking contract with the new refactored version, just because on the old version we were not able anymore to introduce any changes because we reached the contract size limitation. And now with the new architecture, we are able to add modules as required, so we do not have this limitation anymore. I already mentioned before that we're going to have the bridge off-chain signature exchange update done, probably next week, which means that our bridge federators do not have to send one transaction per federator anymore, but instead they're exchanging the signatures off-chain, and only one of the federators has to send the transaction, so this is drastically cutting down transaction costs. And last but not least, we are working on a fee sharing update, so an update to the fee sharing contract to better unify the fees generated from the margin trading protocol and the Zero protocol. And this is the high-level overview from my side. Are there any questions from the audience?
Okay.
Doesn't seem so.
Yeah, we
back
can
to Magnus for you, Jager.
Well, okay. So we can move on to the general AMA side of the call, if that's the case. Are there any, based on everything we've heard, general questions or comments from the community, contributors, etc.? Feel free to unmute yourself, if so.
Hey, hello. I was just wondering whether there's any updates from the Circle of Tokens, whether there's any... I remember there was at some point a decision that they would sort of take care of the low-hanging fruit, rewards for the liquidity mining. It would be nice if someone reminded us of what the plans were going into the future, of whether there are any new plans, any new discussions. It would be great.
Sakro, I see you're on the call. Would you like to talk to that? If not Sakro, then Roy.
Hello, this is Sakro. Sorry, I was muted.
You're very faint. Is there some way? Are you? Yeah, maybe get closer to the mic.
Yeah, is it better now?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, I will try it this way. So hello. There were some small updates that were raised by the Exchequer. The Circle of Tokens agreed with these updates. For now, there are smaller plans to further reduce the liquidity mining rewards. I personally would like to push a bit more for liquid SUV rewards in the near future, but I think we have to provide some analysis for this first before we can really go on with it. What I have in mind is reducing the SUV BTC pool rewards and reducing the RBTC XUSD rewards further, but make them liquid. I have already published some work around it in the forum. It was a few months ago. But time has passed. The vesting schedule has moved on, and I think we can give it a try in the future. But we have to do some analysis first. Further, I think that it may make sense to cut the rewards for the XUSD lending pool. The rewards are already pretty small, the SUV rewards we are talking about, and we can think about cutting them completely, especially with Zero around. The lending pool has not seen much usage, and the APY is pretty low currently, but as Aurora pointed out a few calls ago, the XUSD lending pool is structured in such a way that if there is demand for the pool, the APY will go up quickly. So I don't think we will have liquidity issues if we remove the SUV rewards there.
One small update here. We have the reduction of SW rewards already scheduled for the XUSD lending pool. So on Monday, we are going to reduce the rewards from 2,500 SOV to 0.
Right, great. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Further, the Circle of Tokens plans to do a bigger on-chain analysis of the various pools, AMs and lending pools, and also around overall tokenomics. This requires a lot of work. So basically, we want to go over everything. What is the current token supply? what is the scheduled token supply over the next months with the updated liquidity mining rewards. And I think you can expect an update, but I think it will take some weeks because it will be a big update and it requires a lot of work also on chain and some Excel skills to work that out. But yeah, I have some plans and I'm always looking for other people that can help. David is doing an amazing job. Also, other people in the circle. But if you would like to work on this topic, you can always contact me, and we will yeah get you some work. That's it for now.
Thanks very much. Martin, did that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Sounds very good. I mean, one thought is just that looking at all those great stats, there seems to be a lot of demand for the Sovryn, the protocol. But of course, looking at sort of Sov, the token, it seems that the demand for the protocol doesn't translate to demand for the token somehow. So it seems that some cogs are not interconnecting in some way, which I think it would be awesome if there were some ideas about how sort of value of the protocol also translates to value of the token, because it's that's the.
I'm not sure we need new ideas around that.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is there is a very, very simple mechanism where you can stake SOV and earn the revenues of the protocol. Now, right now, the revenues of the protocol are still small. In addition to that, their overall is, relatively a small user base who are using Sovryn on a consistent basis. That's fine. We don't need to be so. Things take a certain amount of time to grow, right? I mean, you can't. Two women don't give birth to a baby in 4.5 months. And trying to stimulate pregnancy to go faster is not a good idea, right? So I think what we're trying to do is build out something which is truly self-sustaining and represents sound finance. That linkage must remain simple and sound, and I think it is. So there's two reasons that you would hold SOV token. One is because you want to earn the revenues right now and participate in the protocol. The other is because you have a long-term view of the Sovryn protocol. For those of us on the call and sort of more engaged, I think the fact that we're seeing our metrics improve during a bear market and without stimulus should provide us with a strong sense of confidence, right? What we're going to expect to see, and we've been seeing this, right? So I mean, if we've seen 100% growth over the last 4 months, if we can maintain a pace similar to that, then what we will be on is exponential growth. So exponential growth, the nice thing about it, it gives you that feel of gradually then suddenly. So I think most of us here have a long-term view of Sovryn, and the fact that the rest of the world doesn't have a long-term view is an opportunity. And then with regards to the rest, every single line of credit that is opened generates revenue for the protocol. And we expect to be able to deliver additional products and revenue streams on top of that, in addition to the additional revenue streams and products that we already have. It should be speculative right now, because Sovryn as a project is a speculative project at this point in time. I think the nice thing is that first of all, we're probably we can be honest about the fact that it's extremely speculative, and second of all, Despite that, I think in many ways we're starting to become less speculative than many other projects in terms of, if we can reduce the subsidies down to basically zero and continue to see growth, then I think we're in a very, very strong position.
And good stuff. Thank you, Yago. Do anyone else have questions? Feel free to type them on the general chat if you wish, or on YouTube on the live stream, or just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any other questions for Yago and company.
Hello. I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question, but I've been, with everything that's happening with Tornado Cash and the conversations about maybe DAI losing their peg, I'm wondering how that would affect the XUSD and Zero.
Yeah, so I think that's an excellent question. One of the architectural choices that have been made around Sovryn is we are working towards reducing one of the core systemic risks in crypto. A systemic risk which I think is dominant in almost every single so-called crypto platform. And that is the reliance on centralized stablecoins with an external point of value, right? So the reason the Tornado Cash, there have been a whole bunch of things that have been sort of blacklisted by OFAC in the crypto space before. The reason the Tornado Cash was such a big deal was because there was $70 million of USDC that people owned in the Tornado Cash contract. And when USDC decided that they would blacklist that contract, what they basically did was confiscate that 70 million from those users who now can no longer redeem the USDC. And so now there's just $70 million that Circle and Coinbase own. This is a very significant risk. And it impacts Sovryn in two ways. First is by working towards having a self-sovereign, decentralized stablecoin, which has Bitcoin as its base asset. We can make sure that this fundamental primitive, right, which is basically money, right? I mean, Bitcoin is not money in the same way that stablecoins are. Bitcoin is sort of like this commodity reserve asset, but money is what is used in day-to-day transactions. And for that, people rely on stablecoins more and more. So we need to be able to convert Bitcoin into an asset which is also able to provide that type of moneyness, and stablecoins do that while maintaining the overall, permissionless and censorship-resistant aspects of Bitcoin. And so by doing that, we also remove from the Sovryn ecosystem a core systemic risk, right? A major external dependency, which is a vulnerability. XUSD is different. XUSD doesn't have the same assurance because XUSD is an aggregation of multiple different stablecoins, the majority of which right now are centralized. XUSD does provide a level of protection because the way Babelfish and the Babelfish community have developed it is they don't have a reliance on a single stablecoin. And they also provide certain guarantees around the ability to recapitalize the system in case one of these stablecoins becomes unpegged, which could also be through blacklisting. And so you can see those are basically as two layers of defense, right? Defense in layers, defense in depth for Sovryn. If we want to be able to interact with the fiat world, from a crypto perspective, we need to be able to interact with these stablecoins. And the idea is to try and mitigate as much as possible the potential risks. And so what we would like to do and what we're moving towards being able to do is basically to sanitize Sovryn such that you will be able to use XUSD as a conversion tool and as a bridging tool into the centralized fiat world. But within the Sovryn ecosystem itself, as a trading pair, as a stable coin, as a means of representing, the dollar, and as a means of saving, we actually won't have any centralized stablecoins.
Just a small comment from my side. I'm just looking at the composition of tokens and the XUSD aggregator, and currently there are roughly $4 million in decentralized stablecoins and about 3 million in centralized stablecoins. So actually, at the moment, we have more decentralized stablecoins and XUSD than centralized stablecoins.
All right, so my data, I was out of date. Yeah, the flippening has happened.
All right, any other questions, generally speaking? Don't forget you can put them on the general chat if you do, or YouTube live stream, or even the Telegram group.
Hey everybody, do you hear me? All right.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. So just wanted to congratulate Wayne on his very good job he's doing on marketing side, and got a question for Iago. Do you have any updates on the fundraiser from General Catalyst? Any news on that side?
Yes, so the fundraise is complete. Wayne, I understand we're going to be putting out a press release?
Yes, we are. The press release is good to go. I'm talking to RSK about tapping into their network. I've made the amends to the press release. I imagine it'll go out early next week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I do see a comment on the general chat saying, do we have an estimated time for Zero to be released to the public?
Not really. Not an exact time.
One of the things that we would like to do is when we open it up to the general public, we want them to have a stellar experience. And so we want to make sure that we've got a refined front end, because bringing in users who have a bad experience becomes difficult then to bring them in again. So we'd prefer to know that we have the best, most streamlined, easiest to use front end, and then that's what we want to show the general public. Broadly speaking, I think this approach of making sure that when we release things to the general public, they're ready, is going to stand us in good stead. There's no, the advantage of being in a bear market is there's no particular urgency. Things are, it's a time for organic growth rather than sort of hyper growth. And so we want to make sure that we are well positioned for any periods of hyper growth that come in the future, but that we have an underlying current of stable, solid organic growth.
Comment from YouTube here from the Eagle saying, hi, any new listings coming up?
I assume Eagle means on centralized exchanges. This is not a focal point at this point in time at all.
Folks, last chance here if you want to unmute yourself and ask any questions.
Maybe I'll just add to what I said in response to Eagle. So I think timing is very important. There are good times to list, there are good times to raise, there are good times to do everything. So there's, like Martin said before, there is a disconnect, and almost always is a disconnect between the capital markets and the fundamentals from a technological perspective and a product perspective of the actual market. The financial market goes up 20%, 30%, 50% a year, and down 20%, 50% a year, and in crypto even more dramatically than that. But we don't see the economy grow by 20% or 50% a year, or drop by 20% or 50% a year. Changes are very, very small in comparison. Right? So maybe we'll see GDP grow by 2 or 3%, but drop by 1%. Right? And so the reason timing is important is because on every single day we need to continue our approach to fundamentally driven organic growth. But if we but on the capital market side, right, it's not every day we grow by 0.5%. It's some days we grow by 20%, and other days we don't grow by at all, and other days we drop by 20%. And so there's no point in doing sort of capital raise when the market isn't ready for it. You'll just it will just drop flat. And so fundamental things, you don't need timing, but capital markets related things, timing is super important.
So you could have a bot that's set up and has permission to close your line of credit. It would need to be, pre-funded with ZUSD so that it had enough to pay off your debt. And you would also have to trust that the bot does what it says it's going to do. Maybe you could somehow theoretically, figure out a way to program it so that anybody who has the ZUSD could pay off your debt in exchange for, an equivalent amount of your collateral or something like that. There are a couple of different ways that you could do this. If you'd be willing to run such a bot yourself, then you could theoretically perhaps make it trustless. But I think that's about as good as it could get. There's no way at a smart contract level to, automate all of that. It would require external actors to react to price drops and do some sort of swap of debt for collateral.
I think at this point in time, we can file that under future avenues of potential R&D. Right now, the key thing is to make sure that the product works as well as possible. And then I think we can start tweaking and improving it on an iterative basis. All right, Magnus, unless we have additional questions, I think we can start bringing this to a close. We're at the hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect timing here. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining the call and being part of our mission to carve out a trail for Bitcoin's secured financial sovereignty, dismantling what people know and understand about money here. Guys, if you want to learn more about the Zero Protocol, I noted a lot of questions here about it. Catch John Line and I at 12 a.m. UTC. That's actually 8 p.m. Eastern Time, USA. We're going to be hosting the second Zero Q&A session on Twitter. So I'll put all the links for that on all the various socials. So come ask questions live. You can also submit them anonymously if you're dark and mysterious. I know a lot of people like to do non-questions. And yeah, thanks for everything, guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, join the Telegram group, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay sovereign. I'm going to close the recording out. Feel free to hang out if you want to generally chat. Thank you very much.